today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to take a look at a pedal. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel, clicking on the notification bell. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry. And in this case, we went back to our friends at Zounds, and we got in the Keeley Noble Screamer. Been out for a few months. We're interested in it, and we have it in. We're going to show it to you tonight.
Yeah, so the Noble Screamer. It sounds like I just picture somebody from some like old British movie comedy. Bring out your dead,
Right. In a very noble way.
Yes. The Noble Screamer from Keeley. He basically took an ODR1 from Noble's and a Tube Screamer and put them together. But Pat knows much more about this than I do, so I'm going to let him explain it.
Yes, because I have a green box. So he took two pedals. And let me just start with the Noble's ODR1 because we do not have one, but we have the Nordland ODR-C, which was made by Kai Takibana, who was part of Noble's when the ODR1 was built. And after that time, he even ran that company for a little while. He designed the ODR1. He left that company, started his own company, Nordland. So I just show you this because this is as close as we have to an ODR1. Now, I do have in my greasy little palm here my original TS-808 that I was fortunate enough to get back in the late 80s for $50. So that's the only reason I have it, because I wouldn't have it now. So what Robert Keeley did was put these two pedals in one enclosure, and he has the way that he has the circuit basically split in half. You have the tone on one side of this and this, this and this. And on the other side, you have the drive section of these two. And you can mix and match.
Right.
But what we started out with was...
Yeah, so I don't know how this happens, but I've never played a Tube Screamer really. Right. We've done a couple pedals, a honker. We've done a couple pedals down here where I've plugged into a Tube Screamer down here since we started doing this channel. I still have yet to ever put a Tube Screamer on a pedal board and play in a live situation.
Right.
Some of my favorite players, Tube Screamers. So whatever, I don't know what that's about. But so I thought, well, since I'm kind of a true novice in this, I took Keeley was kind enough to put in this little card with some suggested settings in it, and one of them was tube booster. So let's just try his suggested settings for the Tube Screamer, and I might have just bumped. What did I bump? The drive and the
drive and the tone, just a smidge,
and so the Keeley Noble Screamer on the Tube Screamer setting, just a smidge on the tone and the drive. That beautiful gold guitar was a PRS DGT SE. Pretty cool on the bridge pickup because that's the one that sounds so good.
Right.
What'd you do for your Tube Screamer side?
So for the Noble Screamer on the Tube Screamer side, I strayed away from the suggested settings and kind of did my own thing. And I grabbed the Silver Sky SE and I threw it in the neck pickup and tried to play a bit aggressively.
So now we move to the ODR1 side. Again, another pedal that I haven't played. We got that Nordland in, and we were going to do an episode on it, and somehow it went straight from getting it into Pat's pedal board. And
It's the first time it's been back in the house. That makes sense.
We've had it for about 2 years, probably. Maybe someday. So again, first time with that. Sometimes I go back, like years later, I go back and watch some of our videos from years ago, and something comes up. I'm like, why did I do that? This is one of those clips.
Okay.
So, 1973 SG Custom, tuned to open E with a slide in the ODR 1 setting.
For my trip down the ODR side, I grabbed the Mexican Tele that it was lovingly made over with twisted teles and a Bigsby. There's an episode on that. You can check it out. So I took the Mexican Tele into the Noble Screamer on the ODR, and I played through some just kind of big kind of rhythmic chords.
So now we're going to get into the hybrid section of the pedal, basically switching between whether we're using the Tube Screamer gain or the ODR gain or the tone or the on either or. So for Pat's first clip, not to talk for you, Pat, but for his first clip, he had it in the Tube Screamer drive setting, right, and then flipped the switch up to the ODR tone stack. So what I thought would be interesting is to have Pat play for a little bit and do that. We'll start with the stock setting, the suggested setting for the Tube Screamer, and then I'll flip that switch because I wanted you to be able to hear what it sounds like kind of back to back, not necessarily dialed in for the guitar you use in the next clip, but we'll start with that.
All right.
So as you can hear,
yeah, big difference.
Big difference. What'd you do in your clip?
What did I do? I played this guitar, as a matter of fact. No, I did not. I did not play this guitar. I played that guitar right there. The SG Junior right back there hanging on the wall. And I played it in the one pickup that it has, both knobs wide open. And I played this.
setting, I had it in the ODR, but then switched the tone stack to the tube screamer, which is again going to be pretty startling. And again, we have it set up so Pat can do that for you. Right now, it's both ODR. I'm going to flip that switch in a second.
Sure.
So again, big difference. I grabbed the Epiphone Greeny. We still have that sitting around. So I grabbed that and played the same thing a couple times. I ended up going through the pickups.
Yeah.
Because even though this episode's about the pedal, the pickups in the Greeny are pretty cool. So I wanted to get that bridge, the out of phase, and the neck. And that sounds a little bit like this. So that's the individual clips we have for you tonight. There is a jam at the very end. Let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll get into the final thoughts. Basically, Pat let me take the Noble Screamer on a test drive. It's the first time that I've done that kind of in some kind of context. So I finally went back to number one. Home base for me with the Echo Tour through the Tyler. So. And I think if I remember correct, I don't even remember. I think I ended up totally. I have no idea. We're gonna have to look at the switches on the video. And what did you play for that?
I stuck with the Swine Pass Special into the PRS Tremonti, the MT15, and because it does not have reverb, I used a little travel board here with the G Labs, the DLS, and I did slide the Nordland right on there, so you get a little flavor of how I use that.
So, final thoughts. This ought to be fun.
Right. I think it's an interesting pedal. It is unique. I think when I first heard that, Robert Keeley made something that's really unique and never been done before, I'm like, really? I mean, it is Keeley, so I should have trusted it.
Right.
But I should have, silly me. But then, you see how he did it and what he did with it. He took one of the most popular overdrives used by Nashville session players ever, took it down, that part of the circuit he redid, took it down to the Nashville guys and had them vetted out, and they all were like, yeah, good job. And then he took, one of the other more coveted thing with a lot of lore to it and put it in there as well, and then gave you a lot of flexibility of how to change your sound. And this is his new form factor moving forward with drive pedals. He's done a couple for Andy Timmons. There's one floating around out there now in some prototype world that's going to blend a couple of very common pedals. So I love what he's done here. You could hear, especially when we did it just live and you flip that tone switch, how much it changed. So there is a lot of flexibility in there. I think the one thing that we didn't mention is that if you hold down the switch, you can go between true bypass or buffered bypass. They put that in the pedal. So Robert Keeley really thought this one through. He said he spent a lot of money buying, original 808s and ODR ones to get this right. And he said it's as close as he's come to ever cloning something. With that concept, but yet they are two completely independent circuits in there. So I think it's well done by him. I'm really anxious to try a few of the others that are in this form factor, but he took two of the classics right out of the gate and just went for it. And I think it's been pretty well received so far.
So, I'll start by saying everything that we've had from Keeley, and we've had quite a few pedals from Keeley, has been... It's been great, There's a Hydra sitting back there. It's a tremolo and a reverb together. Great pedal. We use it frequently. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean we use it frequently on the channel. We use it frequently playing live. there's been some of the rotaries, the Rotosonic, there's been some rotary pedals from him. Oh my gosh, there's an envelope filter from him. Everything has been great. Like I'd recommend it all. So I was interested to try this. I was a little nervous. It's a tube screamer. I don't know what it is with tube. Maybe I just need to put one on a pedal board and play with it for 4 or 5 months until I know how I feel about it. But there's a lot in there. So this jam on the end, when we first started doing it, at first I was like, man, I'm not getting what I want. And we even recorded a take of that. Mm-hmm. And I went over and listened. I'm like, boy, I don't like that, And then we played around with it a little bit more. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a spot that I like. Right. So I found something in there I liked. And I kind of feel like it might have been all the Noble side. But,
I think it may have been.
Don't quote me on that. So anyway, it's a cool drive pedal. There's a lot of options on there. You said about the buffer thing. The other thing we didn't do is it's a very nice boost pedal too. So you can roll that gain knob down and you can get, now you have a boost, but then you have the option of which tone stack do you want to do, so a lot of cool stuff happening in here. And I think that's all I got. Mm-hmm. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting the subscribe button, click the notification bell, like button. Anytime you interact with the show, that's what lets us interact with cool people. We've interacted with Keeley many times, but this one we got from Zounds, and we appreciate that from Zounds and appreciate the help from you. Lets us bring in cool stuff to share with you. With that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear, especially when you take two of the most classic pedals and make a beautiful Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.